Broncos fans, it's the holiday season, so do me a favor, hit that big red button so we can catch up to the Raiders report. Got a little friendly competition going on here at Chat Sports of who can get the most subscriptions between our two channels before kickoff on Sunday. We're right behind them, so hit that big red button and subscribe. Do it for me, do it for the holiday season, but most importantly, do it because you just can't stand the FAIDERS. Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown. I'm your host, Matthew Peterson. We got some news and rumors to go over on today's show, so we'll get through all that good stuff, and we'll get you kind of on your way before Christmas because we're right around the corner from that. So why not get some Broncos content in your life during this holiday season? So coming up on today's show, Drew Lock going to start in place of Teddy Bridgewater. Maybe they go to Brett Rypien. We'll unpack that bag of worms. Peyton going to be the next owner. Talking about Peyton Manning, the sheriff. Maybe it's going to be Peyton the owner instead for the Broncos. And time to get Pat Shurmur out. All that's coming up right here on the Broncos Breakdown. Let's start with Drew Lock. So he is in line to start for Bridgewater this Sunday after Teddy took that scary injury in Week 15 against the Bengals, got carted off, stayed overnight in a hospital. It looks like Bridgewater is going to be okay, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to play this Sunday. It just seems probably a little bit too quick for really anyone to want to give that a shot. When you get carted off and go to the hospital, it's really difficult to have a quick turnaround and play the very next week. So Drew Lock, he's going to make his first start since Week 17 last year. We'll look at Lock's numbers so far this year. I didn't want to show Lock's numbers last year because it was just disappointing to realize, yeah, that second-round pick is not going to be the future in Denver. 8-10 overall in his career as a starter in Denver. But I'm going to pose this question to you. Do you have faith in Drew Lock? Flat out, do you have faith in number 3? This is the pinned comment, so if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, scroll on down with a Y for yes or N for no. You can go either direction, in my opinion. Drew Lock this season, though, he's come in for 2 halves. If you remember, he came in to spell an injured Bridgewater who took, oddly enough, a head injury in the Ravens game back in the first quarter of the season. Didn't do much with the football then. Then he came in for a couple plays in the Chargers game a few weeks back. And then, of course, most recently for most of the third quarter and all of the fourth quarter of the Bengals game back in Week 15. Here's the thing. The Brett Rypien chants in the comment section, they are growing. I thought Lock would win the job. Hand up, I was wrong. And I'm glad that Lock didn't win the job because, yes, it's difficult to step in at the half or in the second half and not be with the first team all of practice and come in and try and save a team that's behind in the game. But Drew Lock has had chances to not only just win his job back, I would say, but get his career kind of back online. He's not doing himself any favors for his next contract. I don't see him back in Denver. And Brett Rypien, I don't think he's the answer either. He's played in 3 games, made 1 start last season, accumulated nearly 300 yards in those 3 games, tossed 2 touchdowns, and unfortunately doubled that with 4 interceptions. I don't think Rypien's a better option than Lock. I think Rypien is a great third-string quarterback as far as third-string quarterbacks go, but he is not a starting quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. But I'll pose the question to you. Pick a quarterback for me, Drew Lock or Brett Rypien. Give me a DL for Drew Lock or a BR for Brett Rypien. Let me know which quarterback you want to roll with. I'll give you my answer in just a moment. I roll with Lock. I think you stick with Lock. If Teddy Bridgewater can play in a couple weeks, great. I don't think Bridgewater should play. This is a second and a half kind of ish concussion so far this year. He's had a bad history of injuries in his career. Roll with Lock for the next couple games. I understand this team is very much still in the playoff race, even though they're 7-7 and it's a very tall, mile-high mountain to climb. You don't play with your health. You don't play with your head of all things as well. So I'd roll with Drew Lock. If Drew Lock is absolutely atrocious, then I think Vic Fangio would toss Brett Rypien out there as a saving grace, lifeguard preserver, keeping his job afloat because he needs to get some kind of points from his offense. But I think Drew Lock's your guy until he just can't play anymore. We'll get to some other news and rumors, including Peyton Manning being an owner in just a moment. But look at this awesome deal going on at Fanatics. You can get not 1, but 2 polos, 50% off. I know. Yeah, it's like an infomercial. $35 at chatsports.com/Denver Polo. Make sure to use that link right there. It's also in the comments and the description of this video. get yourself a polo, give the other one to your dad or brother or whoever else. Holiday season's right around the corner, so get yourself hooked up with this 50% off polo set today. Peyton Manning, is he going to be the next owner of the Broncos? Well, there are rumors out there that he is interested in becoming a part owner of the Broncos. Now, of course, Denver is likely going to be sold this offseason. The late, great Pat Bowlen, his estate inherited the team, and it's kind of been a little messy since then. And it looks like a sale is going to happen after this season is over. It appeared that back in like August, they wanted to get through this year and not have that sort of be a distraction or be an obstacle. But I fully expect this team to be sold at the end of the year. For a little bit there, it looked like Jeff Bezos or even Jay-Z would be in the running. Both those could have kind of dropped out, and now a much better alternative, Peyton Manning, who, by the way, he has been itching to get more involved in the NFL in different varieties. He kind of got his start in broadcasting, does the Monday Night Football cast with his brother Eli. But the deal with Peyton is, if you want to buy the Broncos, can you Venmo them $4 billion? That's with the B dollars, because it's going to be a huge sale. And so I just don't see it. Exactly. You got the money right there. Not million, billion. I don't see a way Peyton can put that kind of cash together on his own. So he'll be joining with some other part owners. But would you want Peyton Manning to be the next owner? I do. I'll tell you more about it in a second. But let me know, I for in or O for out? My only question is, do you want me to sign with blue or black ink? Because I would be all in on Peyton Manning being the next part owner, majority owner, whatever the finance lingo is. If whatever can get Peyton Manning in the front office of my team, your team, whatever team it is, yeah, you should want that to happen. If you go back to his Pro Football Hall of Fame induction, that speech he gave, that was a speech of, hey, Roger, I'm coming for your job. So if he's not going to be the commish, he's going to be something high up in the NFL. He's one of the greatest football minds we've ever seen. His football career is far from over. He absolutely wants to be more involved, and if it's at the ownership level of the Broncos, which you know, by the way, he'd have a hand in the GM sort of things, yeah, I'm in on that. Next story coming up, Pat Shurmur, the offensive coordinator for the Broncos. Yeah, he ain't it. It's a little shame on me for it's week 15, almost week 16 now, and I haven't talked about Pat Shurmur more because he's kind of gotten off the hook a little bit here and there, but no, enough's enough. Week 15 against the Bengals, what a disastrous offensive game plan and just performance. You got 3 stud wide receivers. One was drafted in the first round. The other 2 got the bag within the last month and change. And this season, you haven't seen a score from Jerry Jeudy. Courtland, Sutton for the last week and a half, 6-7 weeks. Amber Alert's out there. No one can find him. He gets 2 receptions for like 20 yards a game. Tim Patrick's been producing, but you invest in all 3 of these guys to get all 3 going at the same time. They're not supposed to play musical chairs of wide receivers of you get to have a game and you get to have a good game and take days off. No, let's see them all work together. That was the whole point of drafting one in the first round and giving the other 2 big-ish extensions. And also, who called an RPO with Drew Lock, who comes off the bench in the fourth quarter, in the red zone, in a 1-score game? What are we doing, Pat Shurmur? One, Drew Lock is sure athletic. He can move. He can be mobile. He can move around the pocket and pick up yards. But he's not a run quarterback. He's not a Lamar Jackson, right? Drew Lock is not out there because of his legs. Yet you put him in a situation where you really wanted to trust your backup quarterback to make a smart decision with the football? No. Yeah, he absolutely should have gave the ball to Javonte Williams. But as a offensive coordinator, don't put yourself in a situation where you think, I really hope Drew doesn't hold on to this. Because what's going to happen? He's going to fumble it. This was just a bad decision altogether. It's just mind-boggling that Pat Shurmur was brought in the first place. He hasn't had a great track record of success as of late. He was kind of a bum with the Giants, flunked out with the Browns, and now he's been dragging the Broncos down. I'm sure Pat Shurmur's a nice guy, and I want to see him succeed in the NFL. This isn't a slam piece on Shurmur as a person, but it's on his play calling, and it's just been frustrating to see this Broncos offense be so stagnant at times. Like this video if you think Pat Shurmur is to blame. I think a lot of blame can be spread around, but I think Shurmur takes up a big chunk of that pie. Other Broncos roster moves here, some things that came across the wire. Anthony Gordon, a household name, right? Yeah, the quarterback, 2-year quarterback out of Washington State. He was picked up by the Broncos just a couple hours ago. He's going to be the emergency quarterback, which is another big indication that Bridgewater, he ain't coming back at least this week and maybe for the rest of the year. So last played-ish for the Chiefs. He was waived by them back in August, kind of the last round of cuts. So haven't seen any NFL action in terms of regular season, but some preseason here and there. We'll see you later here on the Broncos Breakdown, and have a wonderful Merry Christmas.